very nice.
Great era for me.
Yes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Gorgeous. Well, one of the gifts that metaphysics and religious science and unity and other teachings that fit into that genre have gifted the world with, I believe, is the opportunity to see many other traditions, holiday traditions, religious traditions, to see what those traditions might have to teach us, to share with us. And so the Centers for Spiritual Living is celebrating Science of Mind through the holy days. And of course, there are many different ways to celebrate the holy days. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about the solstice and the ancient celebration of the solstice and what that might have to offer to us as we are going not only through December and the holiday season and Christmas, but beyond into the year. So the solstice, the winter solstice specifically, which is going to be on the 22nd of December, reminds us that we're part of the earth, the planets, and the universe, all of nature, the creation of nature. And I don't know about you, but that is definitely something that when I get into the busyness of my doing, that I tend to forget. You know, I think that that the only thing that matters is what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling and what has to get done. So thank God for our teaching. Thank God for the knowing that that is not the truth. Because I don't know about you guys, but if I didn't remember, or if I didn't have a spiritual practice or a greater understanding of the connection of all life, the picture that my imagination conjures up of what my life would be like is not a pretty picture. It's not a peaceful picture. It's not necessarily a joyous picture. It's not an abundant picture. It's definitely not, it has very little freedom in it. And so I just think it is so powerful to look at the ways that we are a part of nature and what it has to teach us. Because what is happening in the solar system is also happening within us. Now, yesterday, I was a few different places and just generic out there in the world, and I found it very interesting that the topic came up as something about that I was going to be giving this talk today, and everyone that I said that to, and I had a good reason for saying it, asked me, what's it about? I didn't know these people. I didn't know what their tradition was, but there were 3 times that it came up yesterday, and every single time somebody asked me what it was about. So I got to say that really what the Science of Mind is about is our unity with all life, and that where we put our focus, knowing and being grounded in our oneness with this divine infinite presence that is what we are, that is always ready, willing, and able to operate through us, it is operating through us and as us, according to my belief, according to what it is, what and where am I putting my focus of attention. So right now, at this point in time, the winter solstice is leading us toward the darkest day, right? And in ancient times, the motif of the birth in a cave, which is very ancient, is a symbol of the winter solstice. Now, you might hear similarities of that to the birth of Jesus, the birth which, I celebrate as the birth of Christ consciousness. And that these stories tell us that what was being birthed at that time was saying to us, and it is in you as well. The light is within you. So during the solstice, the sun is moving the furthest away from the earth up until that time. And I'm very glad that we're able to talk about this right now, because we can prepare ourselves and begin to have this awareness in our spiritual practice that everything in nature is asking us to turn within to our cave. Everything in nature is asking us to be introspective, because doesn't nature turn within in the winter? And it looks like it's dying back. It doesn't look all pretty, as pretty, unless you're in Colorado, on the outside. And so, I think this is a wonderful reason why we have lights and all the decorations of Christmas, that it's so beautiful in the dead of winter, in the cold, in the time when things are more silent and quiet. So I pose the question to you, okay, so here's the question. What might be the benefit for you to begin, especially as we lead up to the 22nd, to be more introspective, to be open to the idea that the cave of your heart, the manger of your heart, if you will, is a place of self-nurturing. That it asks us to remember, what is it that in my life right now is ready to die away? Because that's what happens in nature. The flowers die away, all the leaves fall off the tree, mulch is created. All these things are happening in nature for what is to come in the spring. And we're having a spring all the time, a time when things can be brand new for us. So during this time of winter solstice, when the sun has traveled to its furthest point away from the earth, it led up to the date of the birth of the god Mithra. Mithra, who is Lord of Light, he was born, we recall, that his mother, the earth, holding a rock-hewn weapon in his hand. Mithra was the principal competitor with Christianity in the period of the first 3 centuries. Now, what happened toward the end of those first 3 centuries was the powers that be coming out and saying, no, we're going to practice Christianity. We're going to practice the celebration of the birth of Jesus. And that mindset began to ask people to separate from that idea that they're one with the earth. That what is actually happening in the solar system is also happening with us. And that when we are living more in awareness and cooperation of that, we might not be so thrown off if we happen to feel depressed. We might also use this time as an opportunity to be in the to be in the place in our own souls that feels dark. To turn within, to embrace that. To remember that the light is coming and that this is a time of creation for what it is that we want. How can we love ourselves more? Because the more that I'm loving myself, the more love that is coming out of me, expressing through me, with other people, about other people, thinking about other people. I don't have to be with them because our thoughts are power. Now, the science of mind talks a great deal about light. It talks a great deal about this chamber of darkness of the heart, where the light of the divine first appears in the heart. And the story of Jesus being born in the manger is symbolic of the manger of our heart. And so the light is there within us. The potential is within us. The possibilities are within us. The answers are within us. However, we go looking outside ourselves, right? Oh my gosh, coming up to the time of looking back at my life before science of mind, I just really didn't have a whole lot of inkling about this idea that creation happened first within me, as within, so without, that there's an effect to every cause, that my thoughts have power. It brings us back to taking responsibility, doesn't it? It also brings us back to knowing that we're not alone. We are not alone. And that when the nighttime comes, when problems arise in our lives, that's a natural part of life. That problems are really telling us that there's something new, that there's something better for us on the other side. I like to call it divine discontent. That which seems to get my focus of like, oh, I don't, Yes, exactly. She pointed to her walking assistant. When yet, wherever we are in the present moment, that is exactly where we need to be. We cannot skip steps in healing. Dr. Holmes says it is in this present moment of time that we are to make the great decision. It is in this day in which we are now living that we must choose what path we are to follow. Shall we live in fear or faith? Faith is in our heart. Faith is born out of going within to the silence and the darkness and being comfortable with it and knowing that in that place the light shows up. That no matter what we're going through, no matter what our challenges are, that the presence and the power of the infinite spirit that is what we are is closer than our very breath. And it also awaits our recognition of it. The winter solstice has been celebrated in cultures the world over for thousands of years. The start of the solar year is a celebration of light and a rebirth of the sun. In Old Europe, it was known as Yule from the Norse, and Jewel meaning a wheel, where everything is connected. In a spiritual sense, it's a reminder that in order for this new path, what it is that we are seeking, in order for that new path to begin, the old must die away. But so frequently, what we do is we hold on to the old, and we look for the answers outside of ourselves. That it's another person, that it's somebody else changing, that all manner of things. And get ourselves all frustrated. And this too will pass. But the question is, when it passes, what is it? What is the light that you want to see happen on the other side? That's the point of power. Not only beginning to turn within to the darkness and trusting that it's okay where we are, whatever it is that we're experiencing, to turn within and know that when life as a whole demonstrates things that are out of our control, whether that be financial, whether that be things of nature that so many of you have experienced, that the presence, the truth of who you are, is not diminished. It's not. It has not turned into ashes. It has not turned into problems. So in the science of mind, we think of the light as an aspect of the divine. So think back to when you had a challenge, a big challenge, not that long ago, and challenges since then. Didn't you feel like you were in the dark at times? Yes. Confused, uncomfortable. But as time moved on and you continued to show up for life, for possibilities, for light, for something new, for things to work out even better than maybe you thought they would. That is the process. And when we remember that, suddenly we feel lighter, and we feel like we can breathe. So in closing, I have a little benediction that I would like to read to you. And it's actually a Thanksgiving benediction, but I think that it is very, very appropriate for the time that we're going through. And so here we go. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the broad expanse of Spirit's love and the abundance of the Creator's riches shape your perspective on your own life and needs, including those things which disappoint you. May the eyes of your heart be open to all the blessings which surround you. May this awareness produce a harvest of generosity in your spirit. May thankfulness rise up within you, not just during this holiday season, but day after day, from the early morning watch until you retire for the night. May you make time in your life for your prayers of gratitude. And within those prayers and reflections of gratitude, may you also acknowledge the needs of others whose situations may be drastically different. And finally, may the light, the grace, the peace, and the love of the Christ presence empower you to move through each day on your chosen path. May you live in the light of your heart. And so it is. Are you going to play again?